Letitia James right now in the hot seat as more and more Democrats think she should resign from her position. Her career is on the line. You know, I think back to Letitia. Boy, she looked really happy there in that Labor Day parade. Just about a month ago, a month and change out there in the streets of New York, right by the porta potties, dancing away. They said, "Here is your Attorney General, one Letitia James." And well, nobody seemed to really care now, did they? Well, I mean, she did have the audience of the porta potties. How fitting and poetic that seems to be, right? Dancing away in all her glory. There, the Attorney General.
Make some noise for your Attorney General, Trish James.
Oh, Miss James. No, nobody's waving. Nobody cares. You're just there dancing by yourself right alongside the porta potties. Kind of fitting. Anyway, here's the news. You know it already. Letitia James has been indicted basically for a couple of big things here, which she could face up to 30 years with. 30 years in prison, okay? Because she lied on her financial documents and she's allegedly guilty of mortgage fraud. So here's the new documents that just came out. Literally, as I came to air, okay? So just moments ago, we got this in. Bombshell documents, really, really damning for Letitia, that puts her in the position of really persona non grata among the Democrats and the Democrat Party in New York. She's no longer of use to Kathy Hochul or any of the rest of them. Believe me. And this is why. So basically, she signed a document saying that the borrower will maintain exclusive control over the occupancy of the property, including short-term rentals, and will not subject the property to time sharing or other shared ownership arrangements. It goes on. The borrower will keep the property available primarily as a residence for borrower's personal use and for the enjoyment of the borrower for at least a year after the date of the second home rider. But there's no indication that Letitia James ever used this property, one of them anyway, as a second home. She had a couple of them in Virginia. But yet she did this, and in doing so got a 0.815, in other words, 0.8% higher, she avoided an 0.8% higher loan rate, which allowed her to save $17,837 and pocket $3,288 in seller credits. It's amazing that somebody would do this, knowing that she has such a big position, right? And that she's in a political position. Here's the document right here. Okay, so we're talking about a couple of homes here. She had two in Virginia, one of which she reportedly on her documentation said this was her primary residence. Now, if it's your primary residence, we've been through it, right? That comes with a lower mortgage rate than if it were, say, a secondary home. And it comes with a lower mortgage rate than, say, if it were a rental income. Meanwhile, and we'll go right down the list here, if you go to your secondary, not your primary home, but your secondary vacation home, you're going to get a different rate than if it is an investment property. So the investment property is going to cost you the most. Okay, you're going to have to pay a lot. So what did she do on the second house? Per this documentation, again, just coming out right now, explosive stuff. She actually tried to say that the other house was not an investment property, but her personal, secondary home. So per the first one, which she tells us was a clerical error, it was her primary residence. And then the second one, she's signing off here. Look at this. This thing is documented to be August 2020, where she's signing up for a loan. And she's saying, this is my secondary residence. Okay, we know that she actually didn't live in either. In fact, when you look at it, it really seems to be that she was using these as rental incomes, right? I mean, let's just call it what it is. But we'll let her have her day in court. But nonetheless, I want to show you some tape that Daily Caller News Foundation got a few months back when they went and knocked at the doors of these two homes in Virginia for the New York Attorney General. Watch.
Hi there. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Goodbye. You're trespassing.
I'm sorry.
Trespassing. My kids are out here.
I understand. We mean no trouble. We're just curious who the occupants of the home are,
Don't
because
worry
there's
about who's occupants. That's none of your business.
well there are connections to New York Attorney General Letitia James.
That doesn't matter. You're trespassing.
Are you related to Letitia James?
Do you know her?
You're trespassing. Go in the house.
Do you know Letitia James? No? Okay.
You're trespassing.
No comment. Thank you,
Don't
ma'am.
come up to my house no more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good one.
It's gonna be powerful.
Be well. Be well. Carson.
There's a car parked in the driveway.
Hello there, ma'am.
No comment, you're trespassing.
No comment? Okay, who lives here?
Who lives here, ma'am?
No comment. Okay.
No comment, no comment. But in other words, I don't think that was Letitia, right? In other words, she wasn't the one living there. I think that we can make that summation pretty easily. So if Letitia wasn't there, who exactly is living there? Is that a rental income? If it's a rental income, guess what? It needed to be classified as a rental income, not as a primary home, not as a secondary vacation home. She's in serious major trouble. I mean, here's her response. Well, before we get to her response, maybe we should outline with Bill Pulte on with my friend Maria just a few months back as these charges were revealed. And he explained one of them, right? One of the homes where she was saying, this is my primary residence. And now we have the news here today that it wasn't just one, but the other one, she was calling her vacation home instead of an income property. Here is Bill Pulte, who runs the FHFA, who is the one who referred all of this to Pam Bondi and the DOJ, with Lindsay Halligan bringing this forward herself, getting a grand jury indictment of one Letitia James.
Recommended that the DOJ investigate New York Attorney General Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. The AG, Letitia James, has responded. We don't have the video, but here's the quote. "This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia resident. And prior to that, I indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement of their investigation." Bill, do you know why she said she was a resident of Virginia on the power of attorney, if in fact she wasn't?
Well, I know that we are mortgage experts and we only refer things that we think are mortgage fraud, and we stand 100% behind the letter. I'll let the letter speak for itself. I do know, and I have seen some reports from that subject, from that subject's criminal defense lawyer saying certain things. I'll leave it to the DOJ to correct various things. But again, when we see mortgage fraud, we are going to report it. When we see mortgage fraud, we are going to prosecute it within the confines of our duties. And we are not going to be intimidated by a subject's criminal defense lawyer. We are not going to be intimidated by a politician, or just because you have an Esquire behind your name. We are not going to be intimidated by people. If we see mortgage fraud, we're going to do something about it. And I think that you're going to see us be taking this on in a big way. Mortgage fraud is a big problem. These companies are safe and sound, but where we see it, we are going to do something about it.
Boom. And sure, he did. He referred it to Pam Bondi, who then, with the Eastern Virginia office of the DOJ, guess what? The U.S. Attorney's Office bringing this one forward. So the new development, however, is take a look at this. The second home rider, okay? The second home rider, which allowed for her to get a mortgage rate that was 0.815%. So let's call it 0.8% cheaper. I mean, that's a big deal. That's nearly a point off your mortgage, right? So she's out there. I mean, what a scumbag thing to do. She's telling everybody, she's telling the bank, she's filing paperwork saying, I am using this as my secondary home. Well, meanwhile, with the other home saying this is going to be my primary home. Oh no, that's just a clerical error, just a clerical error. I'm having kind of a problem with all these clerical errors now. Are you not having a problem with them? I mean, the first house, that was just the power of attorney. Power of attorney screwed up. I mean, sorry, Letitia, you are an attorney. Then the second home rider, we got some real questions on this because this is the second one, okay? She's trying to say her second home in Virginia is actually her vacation home, and yet we're learning that she was renting it out. Okay, that wasn't a vacation home. That was what you call an income property. And then we know that she lied on the loan application for the place, the brownstone in New York City, right? Where it was actually, you could get a better deal if you said you had 4 units instead of 5. And so she did that. And then, I mean, it's not over yet, right? I mean, think about Daddy. I mean, this is Ilhan Omar style. I mean, she's claiming that she's the wife on a mortgage application from like the late 80s. I'm like, whoa, I mean, this is a pattern if I ever saw one. So Letitia is in a lot of trouble. This is one of those houses, okay? This is the 3-bedroom, 1-bath property. She said this was her second home in those loan documents, but it turns out that it was also disclosed in a second financial disclosure that same time period, because she was getting the mortgage in 2020, don't forget, this was what was signed in 2020. This is the house that she was signing for. And then she went forward in a financial disclosure and said that this was an income property. So which was it, Letitia? I have a feeling it was an income property. That way you got a better deal on your loan. And this is the same lady, mind you, who put this one out in February 16th, 2024, because she was so proud of that judgment that she was getting against Donald Trump. Quote, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. Woo! You know, I couldn't have said it better myself. How about that? Letitia James, I really couldn't have. You said it all right then and there. That's all we need to know. In other words, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage, and if they did, our government would throw the book at them. Mind you, that's exactly what they're doing to you, Letitia James. You were getting the book thrown at you, and guess what? You're facing up to 30 years in prison. How's that, Tishy? Tishy baby's not too happy. This is what she's saying.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
Was it really your job? Was it really your job, or was it your political vendetta? Was that the way that you got elected? Because, you know, when I think back on it, we heard a lot from you, did we not? I mean, we heard Letitia James going after Donald Trump every single chance she could get. Every single chance she could get. And she's promised to continue doing much more of the same.
I don't know about you. It's that stone of hope that inspires me each and every day. And listen, faith and fear can never share the same space. And so I'm covered by the blood. And I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can come after me, but no enemy, nothing formed against me will perish. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me.
Except, of course, the DOJ. And the lies that you allegedly made regarding 2 properties in Virginia. We haven't even gotten to New York. We haven't even gotten to the violation of civil rights, because the DOJ is looking into that as well. And it's pretty clear she had a motive. She had a vendetta. And right now, the polls are sinking fast. Everybody wants her out. I'm going to get to that. But don't forget exactly what she did, what she was trying to do, right?
He's called me venomous. We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City. He's called me disgraceful. Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court. He's called me radical. Listen, we know he's crazy. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. We know he's out of control. We know he's losing it. We know his days are numbered, and we will come together. He's called me a racist. We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male.
What a winner she is, right? I'm kind of wondering how long she's really going to make it now. Because this is bad, okay? You've got a really bad scenario here. Not even CNN is willing to defend her. I mean, I think this is rather telling. When Anderson Cooper is coming out against you there in New York, Letitia James, your days may just be numbered after all. Yeah, let's watch Anderson Cooper saying, you know, maybe she didn't have the right approach. maybe this is payback. Maybe she deserves it.
The system is not supposed to work.
Jeff, I mean, according to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump. And she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Well, that's, you know, that we live in a system where attorneys general and district attorneys in the United States, unlike almost any other country, are elected officials, are politicians. So they run for office making political statements. That's how our system works. It's not pretty. I don't think it's a great system.
This is interesting. This is the guy who, by the way, had a bit of an indiscretion, shall we say, on a Zoom call there at CNN. But hey, this is CNN. They hired him back. He's their, he must be cheap. He's their legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin, and he's making excuses. Anderson's making the point that, you know, this lady kind of did some bad stuff, right? Maybe she shouldn't have been out there campaigning every day against Donald Trump before she had even seen any of the evidence. And he's like, oh, but it's just the way the system works. Okay, if it works that way, buddy boy, then guess what? It is payback time. It shouldn't work that way. But if you're claiming it works that way, and this is what she was entitled to do, and she was perfectly fine to do it, then I guess we really do have a problem, a big problem.
But there's nothing uncommon about it. The other point to make, though, is just because she made inappropriate comments, that doesn't mean she should get indicted for fraud years later. I mean, that's
unless, of course, she actually committed the fraud. Okay, like it's amazing how they'll try and slip one through right under the rug, right? We're supposed to excuse Letitia James. Letitia James gets to go and get 0.8% off of her mortgage rate because she's allowed, whereas the rest of the population is not, to declare her secondary home, rather, her investment property as her secondary home, or her other investment property as her primary residence. I mean, this woman is bad news. She's flat out lying. Again, she's the one who signed the records. We showed you borrower will keep property available primarily as a residence for the borrower's personal use. She signed it, okay? Donald Trump didn't sign that. Letitia James signed that. Letitia James is done. By her own words, she is done. There simply cannot be different rules for different people, and that goes for you, Tishy baby. So resign now. Everybody wants you to. Just look at the handwriting on the wall. I mean, nobody wants her, okay? Nobody wants her because she was so vicious. She was so bad. She is now looking at 30 years in prison. Kind of different from those days when she was gloating about how she was going to take Donald Trump down and bankrupt him and take all of his properties, including Trump Tower, right? Yeah, she was chomping at the bit to do that.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Ba-dum-bum. Okay, she has no more money. She's completely out of cash. She's totally desperate. I mean, here's the article. We've talked about this. In Gothamist magazine or newspaper, or whatever it is, they're talking about how she's now going to the Legal Defense Fund and she's got a handout begging for cash there. And maybe, some deep-pocketed billionaires will come along and help her out because the rules are apparently different and you can give as much money as you want. So she's got Abby Lowell, who's, interestingly enough, Hunter Biden's former attorney, out there stumping for her, trying to get money out of the Legal Defense Fund to pay his legal bills. All while everybody is starting to say enough is enough. Everybody, just look at where her polls were, even back in May. This is unbelievable. This is an article that was written in City Journal back in May saying Letitia's campaign is on the ropes. New York's incumbent attorney general faces headwinds in her re-election bid. This is separate from the fact that, now she's been indicted by a grand jury for criminal crimes, mortgage fraud, lying to financial institutions. And so they were already pointing out that New York was going increasingly what? Increasingly red. Yes, New York getting some sense, believe it or not. Even New York City, it's amazing. In 2024, Donald Trump saw his biggest vote share improvement in New York State. He won a higher percentage of the vote in New York City than any Republican candidate since George H.W. Bush. The Republican even saw, they wrote, huge vote total gains in the still overwhelmingly Democratic bureaus of Brooklyn and Queens in 2024. I'm telling you, he's going to take it. You just watch. He can't run again, but you know. Oh, the GOP is coming for all these blue areas, and they're coming fast. It's approaching fast, and the Democrats don't know what to do. But I'll tell you, they don't want Letitia as baggage right about now. No way, Jose. Pun intended. Okay, so here we go. Recent polls confirm that New York does hold a relatively unfavorable view of the incumbent attorney general. A Siena College Research Institute poll. You guys and I, we went through this, remember? It showed how bad she was doing, like worse than Chuck Schumer, and he's doing pretty bad. And so she was kind of just a little bit more favorable to Hochul, but this was back in May. This was before she was indicted. This is before we knew what she was allegedly up to. So, wow. Now nobody wants her because she's tanking everybody, which is why, yes, you're starting to see the media turn on her. You're starting to see CNN in some pockets turn on her, but not everywhere, because, she still has her little friends over at MSNBC with a bunch of delusional idiots that say stuff like this.
So let's talk about how we got here, because you know how this works, Anthony.
I do.
And in both this case and the case against James Comey, what the DOJ has said is the facts and the law were followed. They did things by the book. But when it comes to the actual mechanics of pursuing evidence and bringing charges,
right.
Is that true? Was this handled like any other case you know?
No, it wasn't. But let me say first, this week, this is a watershed moment in American history. Not since Watergate, Chris, have we seen a president weaponize the Justice Department to go after his political rivals.
Wait a second. I think we just saw it. Actually, where were you the last 4 years? What do you think just happened? The last 8 years, thank you very much. Shifty Shift. Oh, he's in trouble. Wait till we get to that, because he is next. I told you. Don't ever doubt me, okay? Adam Schiff, he's coming. And I have this on pretty good sourcing, all right? Adam Schiff is next in the works. Ladies and gentlemen, he ought to be really nervous right about now. But this idiot is trying to pretend like the last 8 years didn't happen? 31 indictments against Donald Trump didn't happen? The attempt to try and bankrupt him via Letitia James didn't happen? The attempt to try and put him in jail in Fulton County, Georgia with Fannie Willis, that didn't happen? Alvin Bragg didn't happen? Are you kidding me?
Now, to your question, typically, if I can take you inside DOJ for a moment, typically when career prosecutors decline to bring a case, Charles knows this, you have to, according to the Justice Manual, which is like the DOJ Bible, you have to have enough evidence to obtain and sustain a conviction. We know from Ken Delanian's reporting and other reporting that there was chaos within the Eastern District of Virginia about moving forward because that evidence wasn't there. Now,
Maybe, just maybe, it was because James Comey's son-in-law was working there. That blew me away. I'm talking about like incestuous. My gosh, you have your own son-in-law planted in the Eastern District of Virginia. And so everybody's like nervous. Eric had to get tossed. They put Lindsay in instead because Eric was a little too nervous. His best buddy happens to be the son-in-law of James Comey. You understand, they're all trying to take care of themselves. They're in a CYA mode, and they take care of those, whether it's Republican or Democrat, on the inside. And now you get this outsider coming in, and he's busting everything wide open, and they don't know what to do. So instead, they're trying to turn it on its heels and say, oh, this is worse than Watergate. I'll tell you what's worse than Watergate. Tapping the phones of 8 U.S. sitting senators. Bob Woodward, you should know that.
So now bring in Bob Woodward, of course, a legendary reporter from the Washington Post, who's here to talk about his paperback version of the 2024 book War, also about news of the day.
See, he's there to promote his book and make book sales.
I mean, Bob, there's so much here that we're juggling this morning. You know, you're in a unique vantage point. I remember seeing you at Trump Tower during the transition period in 2016 before the first term. You spent a good bit of time with the president. You've recorded the president. I'm curious, we're balancing a lot of things right now, a possible breakthrough in Middle East peace, the prosecution.
Like some really good stuff. Okay, let's fast forward through Joe because he just can't. He loves to hear himself talk, right? Oh my God, he's still talking. He's still talking. He's still talking. Poor Woodward's like, okay, finally.
I think the theme really is if you have power, use it, and also abuse it. And literally, I mean, it really is a breakthrough, a corrupt breakthrough, to have the President of the United States ordering up criminal charges against people who are opponents, and that's exactly what's happened.
You changed journalism with your Watergate reporting. Compare what's going on now. I know you've been asked this question a good bit, but the facts have changed on the ground over the past 2 weeks. Compare what happened during Watergate, during Nixon's abuses, with the President of the United States telling the Attorney General, I want you to arrest these 3 people. They're guilty as hell.
Well, it's worse now, and of course, after 2 years of Watergate, Nixon resigned. We are now at a...
Okay, he thinks it's worse than Watergate. I've got news for him. What we went through with all of the attempts to take Donald Trump down, with all of the J6 spin, and now what we've learned about the FBI and Jack Smith getting the phone records and locations and who certain senators were talking to at various times. Trust me, that's way worse than Watergate.
Attorney General is telling us she is determined to make Trump pay, even if it means seizing this building or others long in the Trump portfolio.
You get it? It was all about making him pay. Well, what goes around comes around. What can we say, Tishy baby? You're going to be resigning. Your political career is over. You may, in fact, wind up in jail for some length of time. We'll see, I'll tell you. The grand jury found enough evidence there. And now, as I just told you, I'm seeing stuff too. I'm seeing stuff like this. I'm seeing stuff like a second home rider where she's actually saying it's going to be her second home. Her second home, as opposed to an investment property. It was an investment property, let's be honest. I mean, I have to qualify this, allegedly. An investment property. But, you know, Daily Caller, thanks to them, they went out, they tried to scope out who was there. It wasn't Letitia. Letitia's not living there. And yet she said she had a primary residence and then she had a secondary residence, all in the state of Virginia. And she signed documentation saying this. On one hand, she said, oh, just my power of attorney. That was a simple clerical mistake. Well, is this a clerical mistake as well? Was it a clerical mistake when you signed on as your dad's wife? I mean, enough with the clerical mistakes, because I'm seeing a pattern. I'm seeing a pattern where you say, oh, I can get 0.8% of a lower mortgage if I just say it's this instead of that. And that's a problem, okay? That would land you in jail for up to 30 years. So Tishy, I'm sorry. You know what? You wanted to seize his assets? I have a feeling they're going to be seizing yours. They're going to be seizing yours really, really fast.